All right, it is that time once again to hit the books, part of the Hammer Betting Network, alongside the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Joey Knish. I am merely Brad Powers. We got Jacob producing at the controls today, in for Zach Phillips. And obviously, we got a lot to get to. We got NFL talk, we got NFL draft talk, we got spring game talk. I will say this: if you stay tuned in, I will have a Heisman future bet that I think has some value. So make sure you're checking that out later in the show. But before I get to my main man,
alert,
Knish,
JJ McCarthy.
What's that, Knish?
A spoiler alert, JJ McCarthy.
No, it's not. Well, we could talk. We could talk through it. But it's not JJ McCarthy. But before we get to that, let me remind you that Hit the Books is sponsored by BetStamp. The easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is to use multiple sports books and always getting the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp. And keep in mind, BetStamp compares odds across every sports books for games, futures, player props, you name it. You can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet. Download the app today. And if you are looking to sign up for a new sportsbook account, please check out the offers available at betstamp.app/hitthebooks or hit the link in the description. If you sign up through this page, it does help support the show. Knish, how was your weekend, man?
Good stuff, baby. You know, got into a little NBA playoffs here. So I like NHL playoffs start tonight. So excited for a little bit of extra sports content. And I saw, you know what? I said I can't let Brad Powers be the only man that's watching spring games. I was reading the spring game reports here, doing the homework here, making sure I'm keeping up with the Joneses on some of the stuff. So yeah, little bit of information flying, and we're already seeing the portal open up, kids flying in. Oh, I didn't get enough. I only got 2 catches in the spring game. I'm out of here, baby.
Yeah.
Give me somewhere that's going to feed me the ball. So, yeah, already I see some of the player movement starting today. So, yeah, good to see it. Good to see it ramping up. How about yourself?
Yeah, it was busy. I mean, I'm probably a little bit. I mean, believe it or not, I probably watched a little too much.
I'm surprised you of all people watch a little too much. I say we're gonna have to get Brad up and say he's up to 5 a.m. watching the Texas Southern spring game for the third time.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a break. I might watch one tonight, and then probably a couple of days. I mean, I've watched 15 since Friday night, and I gotta tell you, I love college football, but I got about a 90-minute window for each team. And then after that, it's just I can't pay attention. So if your spring game's going 2.5 hours, I think Jimbo's went 3 as always. It's a very tough watch. Some spring game. I just watched Michigan State this morning. Glorified. You would have thought it was the first day in pads, just a glorified practice. They went through position drills and then had maybe 20 plays of live. It was terrible watch.
QB controversy between the fans and the beat reporters in terms of what they want here starting at QB. So I don't think the Caden Hauser fan club is going to get their wish here.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Hauser. In fact, he's probably going to be third string from what I watched.
If anything, he might be playing at Central Michigan.
I would expect, watching that, I would expect him to hit the portal because it's going to obviously be Peyton Thorne. And if it's not Peyton Thorne, it's going to be Kim, who got just as many reps pretty much as Thorne, what I just watched literally a couple hours ago. So, I would say that he would be a transfer portal candidate. Before we get deep and into the weeds on college football and the spring games, let me get a couple of your thoughts. Number one, are you betting a lot of NBA and NHL? And if so, I mean, people want plays, they want picks. You got anything for tonight or tomorrow or something to look at here in the next couple of days, Knish?
You know what? I mean, I do a lot of like the series price stuff, some series trading. I bet this morning NHL series price Jets at so that's 83 on the rotation. Winnipeg obviously at plus 140 or better. There's still some 140s out there depending on where you shop. Bet some Minnesota Wild. That's only at one. I think it was 135 or better. There's 140 at Chris at the moment. So they're playing Dallas. Bet some Canes. There's only one place I think that's still under minus 200, but I played some minus 185. It's mostly 205 and higher now, but there's still one rhymes with the goat Vada. That's still under minus 200. So Canes series, Wild series, Jet series, and if you want there's still I look if you want to do a half. You know, the Bruins had some like has like a flu bug going around with the team. One I looked to trade was if you want to get some Panthers at like one of the square books that's like 320 or something like that. I think that's worth like a smaller play. And the Oilers number is Steve. I had some Oilers, but that's 40, 50 cents ago.
Yeah. Are you handicapping that personally, or are you getting that from the Pizza Man? And
I'm using someone that is a lot better than me at it. No, I get those, and it's not from our folks at. I'm sure they'd love me to plug Edgework and say that I'm getting it from there, but no, I'm getting it from an American hockey source. Trusting there, so a guy that's I've been moving NHL for a few years now, so.
Fair enough. Sounds like your mic issue. I thought it was me. Like I was waiting to see the chat because I'm always the one with internet issues. Sounds like you're better now in the last 10 seconds, Knish.
All right, let's see. Yeah, all right. Moved a little. We've done a little mic check here, and
yeah. I think we're in better shape. Hopefully, and it's normally me. I'm the one usually bringing down this stream. But all right, I was interested in that. I did dabble a little NBA. It wasn't that great. Knish's parents. It's usually me.
Yeah, you tell. I know. Ma, come on, get the internet up. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Kyle in the chat because you were a little dicey. One more time. Canes, Wild, and Jets. Is that what you bet?
Yeah. So let me get but obviously price is important here. So Canes minus 200 or better. Wild 135 or better. There's 140 out there, and Jets 140 or better. So you should be able to find if you shop it all those prices. The Canes and the Wild are only at like one or two places. The Jets should be pretty widely available, but if you can get any of those prices still, I think those three are worth a bet. And maybe a quarter unit or half unit on Panthers if you can get a pretty inflated like 320 or higher. A couple of square shots have like 330. And that's when I'll be looking to trade if they steal game one or two.
Fair enough. That's coming off the top of the show. I like that. Some hockey. I've only made like 2 or 3 bets in my entire life on hockey. So you won't get any bets from me in that regard. And it was like anti-VGK shit that you remember their opening year here and all their prices got inflated. And I lost every damn bet because I was like, this doesn't sound like it's priced appropriately. I mean, every joke
there's actually, like the Vegas, a lot of like some of the square shops out there will like inflate the Vegas prices a ton.
God, it's ridiculous.
If another way to do NHL pricing is if you go to Moretto's Twitter and see what he posted. You just bet the other side. Like he's on the Stars big. Stars, they're going down. He's on a couple of. He's on the Islanders. That's a loser. So basically, I just win whatever Moretto did. You don't even need a sharp handicapper. You say Moretto, what he's on. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Bet the other side. You come out on top. It's a very simple way. You could do it that way too.
Let's move along. NFL today, big news before we get to the draft stuff, because there's big news in the draft stuff too. But obviously, Jalen Hurts signs the most lucrative contract in the history of the NFL. You and I talked about this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Lamar Jackson. If you do think you got your franchise player, might as well sign him now, because I know everyone's saying, it's way too much to pay Jalen Hurts. Hey, check with me in 2-3 years when he falls out of the top 5 as far as the highest paid quarterbacks. I mean, Patrick Mahomes a couple years ago, even though he's the best quarterback in the NFL, you can't pay a guy $45 million a year. And yet now he's borderline 5th or 6th highest paid quarterback all of a sudden, just a couple years later. So what's your thoughts on Jalen Hurts? Is it a little too much too soon, or are you on the wagon right now?
I mean, what are you going to do? Not pay the guy? It's just you find a quarterback, if he's in that top echelon, you're going to pay him. You're probably going to have to pay him a little more than you'd want to pay him. But, I mean, someone's out there and they're going to pay him. So I don't think the Eagles had much of a choice there. And if anything, maybe they did the work here for Baltimore and Lamar and the agent he doesn't have, and they can just kind of copy very, very similar language into that deal. So maybe the Lamar deal gets done with similar numbers now. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money, but you have any type of quarterback that's young and talented, it's so hard to find when you're going to pay him. And it's like this is like the nonstop escalation of the cap keeps going up, the deals keep getting higher. So the second you sign that deal, it'll look better, as you said, in 3 years when, like Mahomes now, you got him on a steal because he's only getting $40 million instead of like $50 million. So, it's a tough pill to stomach, but you got to do it. It just is what it is. You got to do it once you find a quarterback that's kind of a perennial top 10 guy.
It's just me, Knish, and maybe this is more of a comment on today's society. Are we just throwing around money like it doesn't mean anything? Like, I just checked 10 years ago, the highest paid quarterback was Rodgers at like $20 million. Now all of a sudden, just 10 years, I'm not talking about the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. I'm just talking 10 years ago, $20 million. Now all of a sudden we're at $50 million a year.
It'll be interesting. I think baseball is going to be the first one that, as you've seen some of these local TV deals kind of fall apart, that goes through a correction at some point of like the salary, basically for the last 50, 60, 70 years, athlete salaries have been on nothing, but it's like real estate from like 1920 to whenever the crash happened in 08, where it just went up until it finally hit some point. I think you might see at some point a correction, probably not in the NFL because until that they're just keep making more and more and more money, but in sports that are declining in popularity a little bit, I agree. The bubble, I think, especially with baseball, with the shoddy economics they got of no cap, some of the local TV deals falling apart, like half the teams kind of not trying to win. That would be the one that I think will come to a head first, and maybe we'll see some correction where you've got like a declining sport, but they're paying people like 10 years, $500 million for. That would be the first one to look at for me, in terms of maybe we'll see a correction at some point, but not the NFL.
Speaking of the NFL, we got breaking news. In case you're living under a rock today and not looking at the betting markets, we can pretty much say that the number one pick in the NFL draft is going to be Bryce Young. Taken off the board, last I checked at FanDuel, taken off the board here. The only place in town here in Vegas that you could bet it was William Hill. Minus 370 this morning, off the board. I think last I saw was like minus 1,000 or so. Looks like Bryce Young clearly. Yep, there you go. At DraftKings, minus 1,000. Bet, obviously, if you're new to the program, bet 1,000 to win 100. Do they even let you bet 1,000 at DraftKings on that prop? Do they let you to win 100?
Yeah. As you said, like
1,400 now. Holy hell!
Yeah.
I swear to God, it was literally a minute before the show came on. It might have been 5 minutes because I was waiting on you. But it was like 1,000 minus 1,000. Now it's 1,400.
No, I think some of it is like obviously there was a big move, and then now you've got people just like how a game steams. A group moves it from 4 to 5, and then you've got people moving it out to 6, 6.5. Same thing where now everyone assuming kind of a known outcome. And I know what Schefter said and he basically doubled down on it, and that's what the league thinks. It still was at the point to me where I did not feel personally comfortable enough chasing any of the massive, like the minus 400, the minus 500. If it was a day or two before the draft and you were getting this, that's one thing. So did you jump on any of the?
No,
the
I
truck?
didn't. I thought about it this morning. I saw minus 370 at Willie Hill here in town. I think it was starting to run already at DraftKings and FanDuel. And I didn't do it. I was like, whatever. I mean, because I don't think it takes much to move this stuff. It could be somebody doesn't even know what the hell they're doing. Maybe they're market manipulation. Like I mentioned last week, I don't bet a ton. Well, I did in past years because guys like Hitman would tell me, hey, make sure you get this down, this and that. But me personally, I mean, again, it's 5-7 days out for me. We're getting that point starting Thursday where I'll start dipping my toe. But again, in town here in Vegas, I mean, we're like a third world country out here when it comes to sports betting. I mean, there's very limited. There's one out here, and that's Caesars Willie Hill, where I think you can bet like first offensive lineman, first cornerback, second pick. And that's about it. That's the only place that has any props, and that's like the only 3 or 4 props that are available. So it's been very quiet. I did not bet it. I wish, shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I'm still at 0 right now. Have you made any bets yet that you're willing to talk about in the NFL draft so far?
It's been super limited, as you say. I mean, the offerings have been smaller. I've gotten down on a couple things small, but I don't have any like major position. I just haven't been able to really. It's hard to even get a major position down at the moment. So, and like a lot of the markets out there, like the first corner, the OPMG miss first. A lot of that stuff, like the second it'll get posted, you'll have a group that'll come in, and a tout type of thing, and kind of smash the price. And so by the time you're able to really get down on it, it's already kind of cooked. So I don't have. I think the glory days of draft betting, we've seen kind of the sun is setting on that. So I don't have any massive positions on anything, so I'll be trying to add here as we go forward, and maybe next week's show we can have a couple of things that are more widely available. But there's just again, the stuff that's super widely available has either been priced out or just don't have anything too strong a position here. So it is what it is. But yeah, it looks like Young number 2. Heard a few different things.
Okay.
There's been I hope to have some better information here as the week goes on, but I think the public accounts and some of the private accounts are obviously that the Texans not very interested in the C.J. Stroud being number 2 here, so that could open a number of possibilities, whether it be trade, whether it be thing, and I think that we talked on last week's show about how the Cardinals are putting it out there that we got 6 teams calling us, they want to trade. Well, yes, they were definitely trying to drum up the interest in more of that pick, because now you might have, especially if Young's going 1, then the number 2 pick's going to be for sale out there. So yeah, we'll see here. A lot of stuff can happen before it kicks off.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I mean, 2 pick looks like, you were thinking C.J. Stroud, but looks like that's fading. At least you can read the market, but again, it doesn't take too much money to move too much there. So still a few days out. I haven't gotten the orders from, the NFL draft god himself. So I haven't filled anything yet on that. Offensive lineman, I would say Trip in the chat. He mentions Broderick Jones. He would know more than me, because I thought at one point it was Paris Johnson or Skoronski. I'm hearing a little bit of love for him. But, he would, again, 7-1. If you think you got some better info or something that the market doesn't know yet, why not take a flyer on that? So anything else other draft related? I know next Monday we'll be almost all draft next week. So if you're looking for bets and whatnot, folks, next week, I promise, once a few of these get more opened up, and I actually make a few bets myself, but we'll talk about it more. You concur, Mr. Knish?
Yep, I would agree with you.
All right, so let's move along to some college football. I'm going to go back to a comment at the start of the chat by Trip. Power 5 teams, this is at 206, Jacob, if you want to bring it up. Power 5 teams suffered the most significant injuries in spring games. South Carolina had devastating offensive line injury. I know that. That's one game I didn't get to yet, South Carolina. So is that going to impact my power rating on their team? Probably not an offensive lineman. But I haven't seen too many. Michigan State had an injury, nothing big. A guy, it looks like he hurt his elbow. That's just literally what I watched an hour ago. Nothing that would move a market yet. What will move markets is the transfer portal, because it looks like it'll be hot and heavy with starters. Oklahoma State lost a starter. A&M lost an offensive lineman. Georgia lost Bear Alexander. He's going to be a hot commodity, a 300-plus pound defensive lineman. I'm not sure that he was going to start, but he could start for most teams. I'll put it that way. And, even if he wasn't going to start for Georgia. So the transfer portal will be the biggest thing. I'll say this, watching the Buckeyes, I'll lead with them as far as spring games. I think the defense has improved, believe it or not. I like their sophomore class. I think a lot of guys like C.J. Hicks, Styles and whatnot will be major contributors. But watching that game, I don't think Ohio State has the quarterback or the offensive line to win a national title. And that's basically what it is with Ohio State. It's national title or bust. So what I'm hearing, so after I watched that, I put a few phone calls in the back home, people that, I wouldn't say that they're inside the locker room, but they know a few things. I'll put it that way. They said the Buckeyes are looking at 2 transfer portal offensive linemen. They already got the guys picked out, and so I don't know. I'll take it for what that guy, take it for what he's usually right. So that concurred from what I saw, Knish. I don't know if you saw the Buckeyes at all, but they need help on the offensive line, and I didn't see enough at quarterback. Brown was out, the other kid competing with Kyle McCord, but Kyle McCord is a good quarterback. It's just he's a step down from what Ohio State's had the last 4 years, and C.J. Stroud and obviously Justin Fields. And if you're not at least at that level, I'm not sure that they got a good enough roster to win the national title. What say you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I took in some of that as well because I wanted to see just what we were looking at with McCord. And it came in with a lot of I know there's been some panic in Buckeye land about the offensive line. Again, if you get a few transfers in, you can kind of quell that. I wouldn't be overly concerned, but I agree. Like the way the team is structured, and Ryan Day, kind of puts they're a team that has been wide open offense. We're gonna more outscore people. I don't see them, changing a philosophy to be more of a defensive team and run the ball, and kind of that they kind of need to be that wide open off. I mean, the strengths of their team, obviously a wide receiver in that. So if you can't protect the passer and your quarterback's a little bit of you've been going from like first round all everything quarterbacks to a guy who's maybe just a good or above average college quarterback. That's not going to do it. That's not going to do it in terms of national title. That's not going to do it in terms of Big Ten. Yeah, I think so they're sweating some bullets here, and you also had Brian Hartline make a very interesting comment about he's always been an NFL. Like when someone asked him about his coaching future, and he gave a very NFL-centric answer. Plus, he got in like some ATV accident.
At 1:20 in the morning. What the hell are you doing on an ATV? I know you're on your property. You do whatever you want, but 1:20 in the morning, I'm guessing alcohol was involved.
Yeah. So, and he is, I think he's more, critical to the success of Ohio State than Ryan Day is at the moment in terms of what he brings. I mean, he basically gets the top 2 receivers in the country every single year. So I would say there's some. Listen, it could get real sweaty for Mr. Day come the end of the season if the offense isn't flowing and Jimmy gets him for number 3. Oh boy, it's going to be a little sauna there in Columbus for the Ryan Day tenure.
In the chat, Tripp's very active. BYU is getting that offensive lineman from Oklahoma State. That'd be a good get for BYU. BYU's offensive line, massive. They're inexperienced, they're young, but that would be transitioning to the Big 12, getting another guy, plug-and-play guy that's going to start for them. That's a really good pickup for BYU. Shows to me that they are starting to spend some resources. They picked up their new defense coordinator is from Weber State, the head coach. I thought he was a top 10 FCS head coach. Jay Hills is his name. So they're stepping it up with the move to the Big 12. I still think there'll be a transition period.
Speaking of hot seat, is the Mike Gundy era like?
Yeah, I think it's coming to an end.
I think
Yep.
it is too. This
Yep.
team, like I mean, I wish I don't want to give the playbook here for win totals out, but that's one I'll have an eye on in the new Big 12. It's like with what I mean, your starting left tackle's gone. They lost a ton of talent last year. Their quarterback questioned. Like
A lot of guys
I
in
don't
the
know what
portal.
this team looks like going into the season in terms
Yep.
of like I don't want to sound like be over dramatic, but like are they going to win 4 games? Like, I mean, I don't.
I would bet
be,
over 4, but I mean,
yeah, I don't know if it's a bowl team this year, and
yeah.
that like if he doesn't reach a bowl, then it's like I don't know. I don't know if he can get it back together.
How would he handle a losing season? He hasn't had too many. I mean, we're talking he's closing in on 2 decades now at Oklahoma State, and obviously he's a guy that doesn't have much of a filter and has a different set of politics than maybe not necessarily the people in Oklahoma, but it does rub some people, national media, the wrong way, to say the least. So it'll be interesting if they do struggle early to see how he handles it. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm looking to be more of a sell position with Oklahoma State. Let me give you guys a buy position. Again, I'm going to go to Trip in the chat. Mid-majors, I think this was earlier. Or actually, it wasn't Trip. Who was it here, man? The whatever. Somebody was, it was the OPMG. Any mid-majors that might be under the radar? I don't know if it's not a mid-major, but it's a Power 5 team that probably people aren't thinking about. California is a team that I watched their spring game. I wasn't even totally aware that they got a TCU transfer quarterback, Sam Jackson. No relation to the movie star, but he can run, he can throw. They have Spavital is their new OC. They much more modern offense than what they've had the last 3-4 years. I really liked what I saw. So do I think they can win the Pac-12? No, but can they give some teams trouble in the Pac-12 with the experience they have coming back at offensive line? They got a Florida transfer on the edge at David Reese, who I think is going to be a good ball player for him. Sermon's a middle linebacker. He's back. A ton of guys are back. So I think Cal's a team that on a game in and game out basis and probably a season win total perspective, I want to bet over them. It's a team that's had 3 straight losing seasons. They're 3-12 in 1 possession games the last 3 years. A lot of that had to do with lack of playmaking ability at quarterback and conservative play calling. And I think they've corrected both of those. So that's one that I upgraded. Look, most of these spring games, I'm not touching the team's power rating. I'm just scouting players. But that was one where I kind of upgraded the team's power rating a little bit. They have something I didn't expect them to have, that being a quarterback. So was there any other teams? I know you probably focused mainly on the top level teams. Was there any teams that caught your eye over the weekend, Knish?
No, it's a good tidbit on Cal because I was interested to see like the Wilcox era seems to be. Also, just in general, like how serious are they taking athletics? There's been some like, does Cal even like should they even have a football program type of thing? But that's interesting because I do think for a guy that's what is he 30 and 36 or whatever, like I do think he's a reasonably good head coach.
I do
too. And it's just like you just are at such a disadvantage there in terms of what you can do. That I mean, he made them compete, but you're not. It's funny, they could be even better, but you're getting like this is probably the best rendition of the Pac-12 in a long time, especially at the top. So yeah, it'll be tough, but it's good to hear because I think he'd be a guy like if I'm a G5 school and this season doesn't go bad and he'd be one I'd be looking to scoop up for sure. So yeah, I know the Michigan State one was another where I don't. And again, that it was local to me.
I didn't come away impressed. I mean, it wasn't
either. I don't know what the Mel Tucker era it is, and again, it's not. I mean, he got paid too much guaranteed money for it to be like a hot seat per se, but they lost their defensive line coach and their pass rush specialist, who were like 2 of the best guys on staff. They kept their DC, who I wasn't a big fan of. Their offensive line, I think, has had a ton of holes. Mella's like they're not. It's like they're just doing this. At the end of the Scott Frost era, he was doing this where like you're portaling so much that you're not really. It's like I don't want to be like the culture thing, but like when you're bringing in 25, 30 new guys every season, it's like how the I don't know. I don't think that's a sustainable way to have success at this late. And the recruiting for this cycle is going nowhere. The quarterback question, I don't know. They lost a couple of their best players too from last year. Either ran out of eligibility or went into the draft. So, and they're in maybe the hardest division, depending on what you think of Ohio State. At least one of the best divisions in the country.
Well, they got three top 10 teams.
Yeah, Washington in the non-con coming in. Gonna be I mean, and you go
struggle to get the ball eligibility. I'll put it that way.
I think getting there is a successful season for them.
Yeah.
If they don't, and you're paying this coach, top 5 money, back-to-back non-bowling seasons. Oh boy, could get a little sweaty there in East Lansing, but I don't know. What are you going to do? You're going to. I mean, what are you going to do?
You can't do nothing right now.
It's the same as Jimbo Fisher, where you got somebody that's going to cut him a check for $100 million to show him the door. No, you're just going to stick with them.
I will. On the positive side, I'll give you a player to keep an eye on. Nathan Carter, transfer running back from Connecticut, looks the part. He's going to be their starter, even though Berger's coming back. I think Carter's going to be their starting running back. So keep in mind, we're only 2 years removed from Michigan State running back being up there in the Heisman. So if you're into the fantasy stuff, that might be a guy you could pick up cheap that I think could have a really good year. So that'd be the positive. But I don't think they have the quarterback, and I don't know. I didn't see enough for them to move the needle. Again, I'll say bowl eligibility should be the goal this year. I know that's not going to make too many people happy, but that's a legit goal, and that's it. But as far as I'm concerned, as what I know right now. Let me mention, I'll stay in that division, Penn State. A team that I might be a little bit down on after watching their spring game. Penn State, I mean, Knish, I don't know if you saw this, but the second team defense for Penn State beat the first team offense. Legitimately. I mean, all game long, that was the match of the first team offense versus second team defense. Second team defense, especially at the line of scrimmage, whipped the offense for Penn State. Now, I know it's one scrimmage, but I'm not sure that Alar is going to be accurate enough for Penn State. I do love the running backs for them. I think the wide receivers are fine. I think the defense is legit top 10. I mean, their secondary is really good up front. They're really good. But do they have the quarterback and the offensive line to beat Ohio State or to beat Michigan? As of right now, I don't think that's the case. So I was not impressed with the Nittany Lions. Did you catch that one at all?
Yeah, I caught. I didn't actually watch. I basically read the reports after the summary that was obviously echoing your sentiment there. The kind of their offense, even the last few years on that, with Clifford at quarterback, it hasn't exactly been. It's like when they haven't been able to run the ball or use the mobile quarterback. It just hasn't been an offense that felt like a few years ago when they had Joe Moorhead. They felt much more dynamic at that era. Yeah. It's kind of been just even like the play calling and the rhythm and the scheme has just, and their offensive line hasn't been anywhere near an elite level, even with some talent they've brought in. So yeah, it's somewhere where they've been the defense has been ahead of the offense for a few years now. And if you're, as you said, to get over the hump, if you want to beat a Michigan or Ohio, or both to win, they probably have to beat them both to get there. I don't see it either. It seems like a tall task, and a team that has a ton of talent. James Franklin, another guy that he's so dependent on your coordinators to have schematic success, because he's not that type of guy. That if you don't have A+ coordinators, it's tough to fix it. Where a guy like Ryan Day, a guy like Jim Harbaugh, if things aren't going well, they're taking over their own offenses. James Franklin not really has the skill set to do that. So again, a lot of talent. Jury's still out on Alar. I kind of need to see it from him. One that a friend of the show was asking me about was the opener, September 2nd, West Virginia at Penn State. I know there's. Damn it.
I don't want to say anything because I didn't bet.
All right, we don't have to talk about it if you want.
Yeah, so it's gonna move now because I just let the cat out of the bag. I was gonna drive to Arizona and bet the game, so I mean, you guys figure out what I was gonna bet. So
The only thing I will say,
If
and I know
you tell me I'm going to get a piece of it, if anybody in the chat or you tell me, because again, I can't get on I don't have FanDuel here. If you tell me I can get a little bit of a piece, I just need a couple $100. That's all I ask for. I think West Virginia plus 18.5 is a solid bet.
All right, I'll give you a nickel.
I would drive
Hold
across
on.
the border to make that bet.
All right, you're in 550, 500. You're in 18.5. I'll DM you for confirmation. You're right.
Man. That's a good bet. If Jacob has that pulled up, we can watch that move live.
Yeah, it's
too much delay with a quarterback that I don't think is a difference maker. Too much delay. I did not see it. If you can't beat your second team defense, I mean, literally, it's a 10-0 spring game, and you don't want to overreact too much. And I know there's conservative play call, but I didn't see anything to put my hat on, especially delay more than 3 scores, more than 17 points in an opener. Yeah, that's too much delay. So yeah, West Virginia is good. I'm glad. Is that what you were thinking, West Virginia?
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. Friend of the show, franchise was asking me about it. I looked into, and this was what I was going to ask you. I spent some time looking into West Virginia. Didn't have. I'm not going to be able to make a real rosy case in terms of what they have coming back in their offense. But it was just one of those. It's like, okay, probably too many points. Just on the surface with what Penn State's offense looked like. But that was all I had from a positivity standpoint. And why the case is more about Penn State fade with the points than it is talking up West Virginia.
Yeah, I was going to try to keep it on the DL because West Virginia spring game Saturday. I was going to watch and see if I can make a stronger case. But, yeah, it's worth it. I mean, where do I think it closed? I think it closed probably 17. So we'll at least get a 1.5 there, on a relatively secondary number there. So good bet. Thank you. And you don't even have to give me that. I was just pissing a moment. But you don't even have to give me that 500. I want it down that West Virginia is a good play there. Let's check the chat. Jay Feldman is hyping up Penn State up on his podcast. I don't know any more of these reporters. I don't trust anybody. I just don't. I mean, that's not anywhere near what I saw on Saturday. And look, you don't want my word for it. Matt Millen is on the broadcast. Penn State alum. And look, he can't run a front office, but I think he's a really good commentator, and he's smarter than a lot of other commentators. And he basically said this. He's like, look, he took a question like, hey, what'd you think of the game? He's like, I'll answer this in 2 different ways. As a Big Ten analyst, sure, Penn State's good. They're going to be able to compete with Michigan and Ohio State in the East. We're going to have a really good race for the Big Ten championship. As a fan, what the heck did I just see? I mean, if you don't believe me, I literally tweeted the video. I mean, he was like, what is that? And that's what my thought process was watching that spring game. That was bad. It was not good football on the offensive side of the ball at all. So, I mean, I know you're a big Matt Millen fan, Knish.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wish you would have stayed in the booth for us all. I say would have saved me a decade of misery. But, I'm with you on that. I agree. Some of the national guys, just as a macro discussion, like, are they? And that's part of what you get here on Hit the Books. Like, is Feldman grinding the tape of every spring game that's out there? But again, don't get me wrong, has some good info sometimes. I know a lot of I like his freaks list and stuff that he has. Some get some good stuff, but is he dissecting the scheme of every Penn State play from the spring game? Probably not. He's probably taking the national narrative of Penn State has a lot of good players.
On defense, they do. And they got a few guys on offense. Obviously, I like the running back core. I'll say this. This is where I'm at with beat writers. They're good for injury information. A lot of times they can get that as quick as anybody as far as injury information. When it comes to scouting, no. And I'll even even sometimes they don't even get the main injury stuff. I'll never forget, I think it was Buffalo, Kent State. There was a woman sports writer that says, I'm at the game. Here's the team warming up for Kent State. And she didn't, it's like, this person's going to be in the lineup. Didn't even mention the quarterback, if Schlee was going to play or not. I mean, are you a freaking idiot? I mean, she's the only one at the game that's covering the game from the media. And she's like, this person's going to play. This person's going to play. Well, what about the freaking quarterback for Kent State? Is he going to play? So I don't. I don't think much.
Mac injury info will take years off your life if you're gonna and it's right. You're saying it's not a lot of time. It's not even like credentialed it's like some guy from Central Michigan I follow. He works for like the student newspaper. He was like the only one tweeting info. I don't even think he gets paid. I think he's like a free intern.
Yeah.
He was the guy that was tweeting out like anything Central Michigan related. So yeah, some of these places aren't exactly there's not exactly a big following here for getting this stuff. So
I'll get to a few more questions in the chat, and then we'll wrap up with Georgia. So that might be hint as far as a futures bet. In the chat, Tapper Florida +9 against Utah. I'm watching Florida spring game. Not interested right now. I'll tell you what. I'll be interested in that game. The under. I think Florida's defense will be fine, but their offense, they're gonna have to hit the portal. Florida, it's gonna have to hit the portal. And look, I mean, you got an SEC team getting more than a touchdown against a Pac-12 team. Sure, why not? But I don't know. Florida, I mean, they wouldn't scare me at all. And keep in mind, Utah was favored in the Swamp last year. I know they lost the game, but, I mean, they easily could have won. And, as much as I don't like Anthony Richardson, he's still a playmaker, made a couple plays in that game for Florida to win. Florida doesn't have that right now. So, I can't get to the window yet on Florida. Next season, Go ahead.
Come in a little hot. I don't, unless they are able to get some, I don't think Napier's going to survive, like, the year past this of just – I don't know if they're going to go bowling, and if they don't, I mean, you're not going to win 6-7 games with Graham Mertz right now. They had the NIL fiasco, which is hurting recruiting. That they, they stiffed Rashada. When the second he got to campus, they didn't have his money. They weren't able to seal the Michael Pratt deal for whatever it is. So whether it be the boosters aren't behind him, or the program's not behind him, or Florida has too many broke people, in the circles for their whatever, they can't raise the money. I don't know if they're subverting Napier or whatever it is, but I think his tenure is in serious jeopardy.
I was told by someone on the inside that they will spend a lot this class. My comment was, will they back him up if they're 5-7? And the response I got was a question mark. And I think they're 5-7 this year. Go look at the.
I agree.
Yeah, I think they're a 5-6 win team. So
it doesn't make any sense to spend it now. The guy's about to you didn't get him a quarterback, and you're about to have back-to-back losing seasons. So and then if he gets fired, the recruiting class falls apart anyway.
Jacob in the chat, Brad Knish on USC. Same thing. No, I think they're a little bit better defensively. I mean, they got some guys. We'll see. I mean, Anthony Lucas in the portal. We'll see. I don't think they're done yet. I mean, there's already rumors and whispers that they might get Bear Alexander. Huge kid. They need size on the interior.
They need that badly.
They're too small. But I'll say this. Caleb Williams played 3 plays touchdown, boom, bang, efficient. I mean, it looks good. So, I mean, they're not going to be out of any game. Regardless, offense or defense. I mean, I just still don't see enough dudes on defense, but again, I expect them to be active in the transfer portal. So to be determined, as of right now, they would be my favorite in the Pac-12. What say you, Knish?
Yeah, you know what? I think I was a little surprised they weren't even a touch more aggressive in terms of adding talent on defense. I don't love, their defensive coordinator. I just, he's never been, I think he was a guy that made his name a while ago and has kind of rode coattails in a few places. I just don't think he's a great coordinator. I don't think they have, it's kind of a year-over-year process in terms of, them being able to kind of rebuild that defense, because it was so, for USC, so talent drained there, especially on the defensive line. The Bear Alexander, I think they really need him. So again, it'll be a ton of fun. The offense is going to be absolutely insane. I love that recruit they got, who's I don't want to leave people.
Deuce Robinson.
Zachariah Branch, the wide receiver.
Zachariah Branch, he flashed in the spring game.
He's got some Tyreek Hill vibes there, and in that offense, I just think they're
almost unstoppable. They just got a 5-star tight end, Deuce Robinson.
Yep.
Raleek Browns, they're playing him in the slot. They had a 4-star running back out of Texas that flashed. The South Carolina transfer running back made a play. I don't know how you stop him. The way to stop him is on the other side, run right at him and keep Caleb Williams off the field. I mean, that's what you're going to have to do. Or, just try to literally injure Caleb Williams. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to stop him, because I will say this. There is a drop. You think Lincoln Riley's offense, plug and play, there's a drop off considerably to him in the back. Malachi Nelson isn't there yet, the 5-star true freshman, and Moses, I don't know which is first, but he's not there yet either. Not even close. So, if you're talking about what's Caleb Williams worth the point spread, even though it's a Lincoln Riley offensive, quarterback-friendly offense, it's a touchdown from what I saw in the spring game. There was
especially with how they have to win games. Like, they're not going to win them 14-10. So, I totally agree. He'd probably be up
at
there.
At least a touchdown. So, that would be the only thing slowing down SC. I still don't think they have the horses when it comes to playing a Georgia, which I will get to here in a minute or two. I don't think they have the horses up front on either side to compete with. They're not there yet. I'm not sure they'll ever be. I mean, I'm waiting for Lincoln Riley to really prioritize the defensive side a little bit more and the offensive line just a little bit more. UConn Reb in the chat, Oregon State, DJU to win the Pac-12. I mean, the Pac-12 is pretty wide open. I start with SC. Utah's there, Washington's there, Oregon's there. Obviously, Oregon State overachieved last year. I haven't seen their spring game. It's coming up. But here's what I will say. I'm not a big fan of DJ, but I am a fan of Jonathan Smith, their head coach. I think he's one of the more underrated coaches in the country. And obviously, being in Corvallis, they don't get much publicity. So can I see them making a run? Yeah, give me the right price. I'm probably going to need 15-1.
That's what I was going to say. There? Like the price, the only place that had few receivers, and they're like $550, and that's like –
That's no. I would not. I bet the no.
Yeah. I don't. I would need. I mean, I think they're fifth at best there. I mean, depending on what you think of Utah, but they obviously don't have the frontline talent of a USC or an Oregon, and then they don't have the quarterback what Washington does. So.
I think Utah's better and Utah's behind. I think if I'm making one bet off if Utah wasn't the 2-time defending champ, I think Utah 6-1 would be the value play there at Caesars Willie Hill. I haven't bet it yet.
No, same for me, but that would not be. I agree with that. You just can't play that price. Even if Oregon State, you believe in DJU, and I agree, the coaching staff, and he kind of fits a little bit more of the system they want to run there, but you can't bet $550.
No. Dante Moore, one name in the Pac-12. Yeah, he's a name to keep an eye on. I might actually physically – they don't have a spring game, but I did read some fine details that every single one of their practices is open to the public, so I might actually drive there, believe it or not, Knish. If the weather's decent, I might make a drive next week and catch one of their practices for UCLA, because they're way late. They're one of the last teams that's going to finish up as far as spring practice. Yeah, just to get a look on Dante Moore. You and I have been talking about it. That is a name. That's the kid that should have been not Arch Manning. It should have been Dante Moore, the number one quarterback recruit in the country. You don't believe me? Pop in the tape on the Army All-American game. He was phenomenal. I mean, you just had nothing but All-Americans on the field, and he was better than everybody on the field. So, yeah, I'd like to see him. I agree there. Any other thoughts before I start talking Georgia here?
No, I agree with, the Dante Moore is fantastic, and now huge step down from Moore to I think his name's Carr. He's very, very limited passer. So,
we will have material for years on CJ Carr. So, you and I are going to go back and forth. I wonder what you would think of CJ Carr, Michigan legacy, if he's committed to Michigan right now.
I'm an unbiased analyst as it gets, baby. Straight, I call it straight like it is. Like down the line. So if he was a Michigan kid, I'd be very concerned, Mr. Powers.
No, you wouldn't be. No, you wouldn't be.
But instead, we went out and got the Dante Moore light in Jaden Davis.
Yeah, I will say the last thing on Dante Moore. I still am stunned that the kid isn't at Michigan, Ohio State, or Notre Dame. Something like. I can't believe he's not at one of the three. You're talking about in Ohio, that little area there, and I'm familiar with it. I grew up about an hour south of Knish. I'm very familiar with it. The best quarterback prospect in that area in a generation, and none of those three schools could get him. It's stunning to me. And none of the three schools got a top-level quarterback prospect in that class, period.
Right.
I mean, they all got decent, solid guys, but nothing spectacular. I don't get that recruitment.
It was a weird one. It was a real weird one, kind of the entire way. I remember. I mean, he was like early leaning to Notre Dame. I'm shocked just by the way that like how they like Ohio State was never.
How did Ohio State not get him?
I don't know. I really don't know. With the offense they run and the opportunity they had, I have no idea why they weren't a major player in that. I can more see the Michigan and the Michigan State being turned away in terms of Michigan runs like the triple option basically, and Michigan State's in the kind of trending towards the John L. Smith. But yeah, that was a weird one. So I don't know. But hey, good get for UCLA. They should be fun.
Before Georgia won next season, South Alabama, I don't know yet. I mean, here's what I do know. I think a lot of these G5 teams are going to get rated.
It's all changed.
I mean, the portal is going to wreak havoc on some of these teams. So give me a month. Let the portal settle a little bit. And I think a lot of these G5 teams, what they'll end up doing is going to the FCS and rating some of them programs to get players to fill out the roster. So I don't know. It's very ever-changing right now. So I don't have a South Alabama pick yet. Give me a month on that. The Ducks, I haven't seen their spring. I mean, they're right there in the mix with Washington, USC, one of the Pac-12 favorites. They got a late spring, I think the 29th. I still like to see people in person for some reason, just to see. But, I mean, obviously Nix is back. I'm not a huge Dan Lanning guy. I'm just not. So, probably will not bet a future bet for them to win the title, Pac-12 title, but we'll see. Give me the right price, I'll bet any team. Let's talk Georgia, team I did bet to win the national championship, and I watched their spring game on Saturday, and I'm here to tell you I'm more confident in that bet. I haven't seen Alabama and LSU yet. They're next week, but I'm pretty confident that Georgia's the best team in the country, Knish. I mean, I think they're better than last year, and they got less question marks. Last year they're coming off a season where they had, they ended up getting 14 guys drafted. They took 0 guys in the transfer portal, still won the national title. They're deeper. I think, the offensive line looks good. That defensive unit, especially on defensive line, might take a little bit of a step back, but their true freshmen at outside linebacker and edges are unbelievable, already flashing in that game. I don't know if you caught it, but, I mean – I don't know. They're by far. I think they're the number one team with margin. What do I mean by margin? I would favor them by 3+ points over any other team in the country right now.
The not only question, like any concern. I know, like this doesn't. You don't see the full spectrum of this in the spring game with the coordinator switches. Just in terms, I thought Monken was just such an incredible play caller for them last year.
Yeah, it's a good question.
That would be my only concern. I can't poke any holes in your argument in terms of the roster. And in terms of the schedule, like,
oh my God,
what's their most at Tennessee? I guess is other than that, I don't see any way they don't make the playoff. Like, there's no the SEC East doesn't at Auburn if you want to be buy into the early Hugh Freeze era, but I think the early returns from that were like they're already gonna
got to get a quarterback.
Yeah, they're already looking for players. They just don't. They don't have anybody in the non-con that's losable. So they're gonna be in the playoff. Like, so yeah, I'd agree with you that the number's not gonna get better. They're not gonna lose any game in the first probably 10 weeks that's even remotely losable. So no. I agree. There's just no, like, you either got to bet it now or don't bet it because, over 2-1 is as good as it's getting. I agree with you.
So Mike Bobo is their new OC.
Yeah.
Obviously a name that's been around the block a time or two. Not a name that people are going to be like, oh my God, it's stupendous hire. Good symmetry between him, Kirby Smart, Muschamp, Bobo, all were at Georgia in the 90s. So I kind of like that. I know it's just a spring game, but I kind of like the play calling. And if you don't believe me, Tailgate Tent's a pretty sharp guy in college football. He said the same thing. And it kind of leads me to my point. I know it's not going to be, very popular to bet a Georgia quarterback to win the Heisman, but Stetson Bennett finished 4th last year. And if you're going to give me 40-1 on the starting quarterback. That's by far the best team in the country. I'm going to bet it, and I did bet it after watching the spring game. That was the one bet I made after watching all the spring games over the weekend. I bet Carson Beck is going to be the starter. There is no controversy or competition anymore watching that. I mean, he has obviously a better arm than Stetson Bennett. They threw it vertically down the field. Weren't afraid to show that off, and he was pinpoint accurate. I mean, the stuff that I'd see out of Heisman caliber players at this point, even though he doesn't have much experience, but I bet Carson Beck 40-1 to win the Heisman. That's my bet. If you can find anything 30-1 or greater, you got the starting quarterback for the number one team in the country. Give me 30-1 or better. I think is a solid value pick. What say you?
No, I mean, I can't argue with the fact that if you're getting a team that we think at worst probably goes 11-1, if not 12-0, he's going to be in the conversation. And so you're getting, as you say, you're not going to. It's not like you're playing a 5-1 here, and from a talent standpoint, he's got to bring more to the table than Stetson Bennett did, just from a skill set perspective. And so I know people love the Stetson Bennett story and all that, but in terms of throws he can make, arm talent, and all that, you got to think he's an upgrade there. So I don't hate that at all. Probably gonna, as soon as we get off here, go a little bit of shopping there.
FanDuel, I think, had in your neck of the woods. FanDuel, I think, still had 40-1. That was before the show. Let me say the concerns, though. I mean, because I'm not saying, it's the greatest bet in the world. Well, one, Georgia's going to be pummeling teams. Is he going to be playing 4 quarters and piling up stats? Probably not. So that's a concern. One thing I did kind of like, though, I started thinking about the other candidates as far as the national title contending teams. I think there will be, Caleb Williams deserves to be the favorite, but I just think, there's a reason why there's only been one 2-time winner, Archie Griffin. He's just going to get every single play is going to be scrutinized for Caleb Williams as far as the Heisman goes. But, sure, he deserves to be the favorite, and you can find some off-the-wall book that has him mispriced, and then sure bet that. One thing the Ohio State quarterback situation didn't give me much hope. I don't know with Alabama. I haven't seen it yet, but I don't have much hope there as far as the quarterback position. And I guess I'll close the show. I'm not as high on J.J. McCarthy as everybody else. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback.
Think we're going to close the show on that? I don't think so,
I wanted your feedback. You get the last word on that.
Do I think that the offense itself is going to be as prolific enough in the passing game for him to get there? It would be quite. It's just not the way. It's just not the way the bread is buttered there. So took a shot last year when he was 50-1-ish or so. Obviously the number is worse now, so it's not one I'm running to the window. But there is a quarterback situation that looks like it cleared up over the weekend, baby.
That's a good one.
And Mr. Earl was all the talking, was all the rage, baby. That Arch is going to be watching this year. He looked like the guy. So, any thoughts on the Texas situation?
Love it. Because we have market influence on this show, I'm going to have to make that bet here in the next couple minutes. But I went for a walk before this morning, and I was like, you know what? I got to look at Quinn Ewers to make that Heisman bet. Murphy, I thought, looked the most explosive as far as the highest upside. That was my only, kind of like, if Ewers gets banged up a little bit, do they insert Murphy and away they go? But here's the thing, the transfer portal, he's not going to enter it 1 year, but maybe 1 year from now, Arch Manning's already on transfer portal watch because he's clearly the third-string quarterback right now.
Yeah.
Is he going to beat Malik Murphy out?
How much are they paying? If some of the reports are to be, he's making like what an NFL backup quarterback makes right now in terms of NIL money. And I think the best thing about the Arch Mannings was the gravitas he had in terms of Texas getting players. Like, everyone knew his name. They got a great recruiting class. I think it's still rolling into this year. That's probably the best impact Arch Manning's going to have in the first 2 years.
Agreed.
The other guys that came along with him. So, I don't know. We'll have to see if Mr. Ewers is a real. Because I will say the last half of last year, and I know that he was potentially dealing with something. He was one of the more disappointing players, just in terms of his mechanics and the way he was playing, the way he was approaching the game. I don't know. So that's one that, again, it's one game. It sounds nice. He obviously has talent. He's a guy that's been very. And I've heard this when he was at Ohio State too. That in practice he was very and just his overall like dedication and stuff to that. So we'll see. I don't want to overreact to one spring game, but
and look, am I betting him 20-1? No, I'm going to shop real hard, see if I get 40 or 50-1. So if you're out there and you're seeing 20-1, I haven't even looked yet. That didn't even cross my mind. He's 20-1, not a bet for me.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of just like I'm not like like oh no I mean because if there's one school that
and the game to keep an eye on week 2 is Alabama, where he could rock it. I mean, if he plays like he did that first quarter against Alabama, he's going to go. If you want to get in front of if you're feeling confident, I mean, and you like Texas in that game, maybe put a little bit on Ewers because he'll go from 20-1 to almost Heisman favorite if they upset Alabama in week 2, a high-profile game. I don't have anything else. You got anything else, buddy?
No, I think that I was a good one. We got about an hour here, so yeah, we'll.
That's what we've been running. The pizza man. Jacob, our outstanding producer, said, "Hey, you guys might be running a little too long." I'm like, look, me and Knish can talk college. We could do an hour a day, no problem, talking college football.
You think these are wait till we get in the season? It's gonna people better put the kids to bed early and get their dinner ready because these shows during the year I was gonna say we could go all night here talking college football. So
the
and
chat
listen,
is active.
who cares what the pizza man has to say? I'm not listening. You think I'm listening to what that? Get out of it. We'll run it as long as we. Tell Zach Phillips when he gets back here that just keep the camera rolling.
Exactly. But before we sign up, I do want to make sure anybody's still watching. Make sure you're subscribed to Hit the Books on the YouTube channel so that you get notified in real time whenever a new episode drops or we go live. If you do enjoy our content and our picks and our bets, please smash the like button. If you're listening in audio form, please rate and review it 5 stars. For all our show updates, make sure you're following at Hit the Books HQ and at the Hammer HQ on Twitter. Again, as far as picks, futures for me, I'm going to go Carson Beck, at least 30-1 or greater for Georgia, Heisman future. And you sign me up. If you can find 30-1 or greater, I'll do Quinn Ewers as well. I do like Carson Beck better of the two. So shop around. As always, you'll get disparate prices. Any other closing thoughts, Knish, before we sign off?
No, I think that we hit it pretty good today, and hopefully we'll have some more. Hopefully, depending on the offers are out there, a little more information. We'll hit the draft harder next week.
Draft best bets coming next week, guys. We'll talk to you then.